We'll just do a quick intro. I'll start off, Dan, and I'll have you and Devin also intro yourselves as well. Just want to kind of preface this by we're opening up kind of what we've done for our team and our agents and our own personal production. Actually, it's honestly been about 5 years of work that we've been doing similar things that we just continuously, literally day by day, improving what we're doing in order to continue to scale and grow. Our biggest thing is, our goal is to be eventually doing 500 plus transactions just in the Eau Claire area alone. And we're far from that, but it takes a lot of work, and we're constantly trying to figure out how to do business more efficiently in a profitable way that is also scalable. And I think every single person who's a real estate agent or a licensed agent, their goal is to, hopefully grow their business year over year, and do it in a profitable way, which is why we're doing these events. And we're planning on doing about 6 of these type of events throughout the year, each one with a little bit different flavor to them. And to introduce ourselves a little bit, I'm Dan Jerseth, owner of Dan Realty Group. And, since 2018, we've actually done about 600 transactions. The only reason I say that is to show you guys we know what we're talking about. We're credible. That's over 100 transactions on average a year, with a couple of years that we did less than 50. So like this year, for example, we did 158 units, which is 27% more than last year. With my own personal production, I did 62 transactions in one single year. So I do know how to do a lot of business. And I feel like we have a good system down for it that pretty much any real estate agent on this call could pretty easily follow, duplicate. And so that's me. Devin, do you want to hop in and introduce yourself real quick here?
My name is Devin, agent on the team, as well as a team's productivity coach. Been on the team a little over 3 years now. So you can see on the screen, averaging 34 a year. I hit 40 units last year. My goal for 50 is this year, and a huge part of what it's going to take to hit that goal is a lot of stuff that we're going to talk about today. So like Dan said, plan on doing more and more of these as time goes throughout the year. And as much as we like to share how we have our success, we also just love engaging with other agents and learning best practices. And as most of you probably know, real estate's a ever evolving thing, and there's always new tips and tricks. So hopefully just mutually beneficial for everybody.
Yeah, Dan, you want to do a quick intro on yourself as well?
Yeah, my name's also Dan. I'm the director of operations over here at Dan Realty Group. So not one of the agents myself, but lead our administrative team. And really just kind of sum up what I do, it's really focused on streamlining things and making things accessible and simplifying things for our agents, kind of removing speed bumps for them so they can really focus on the things that are important, the money-making activities. So yeah, I'm kind of the background guy here at DRG.
Yeah, that's a good point you bring up, Dan. The fact that it's so easy to get lost in what to do and how to do it, that you almost get paralysis by overanalysis. And my first year I was in the business, I just had no idea what I was doing, and I didn't have any sort of blueprint or simple plan to follow that I could just do on a daily basis. And I remember sitting in my office by myself, literally watching YouTube videos on how to do real estate. And I came to find out at the time, I thought, oh my, this is so complex, so complicated. I don't know how to start or even where to turn to. And so I just tried to do everything that I learned. And one day I would do, I would door knock 20 houses. And then the next day I would send out handwritten letters. And then the next day I would call 10 people that I knew, but I would never stay consistent with it, which was the problem. And that was one of my biggest things, is I didn't have a game plan. I didn't have a blueprint. I didn't know what to do. And so I just literally never got traction for a good 18 months until I actually decided to jump more into training and coaching like what we're showing here, and put a really simple path together that you can just follow. So let's jump into it, guys. Again, here's our business. We did did 124 transactions last year, and then we scaled up to 158 transactions this year, 2024, I should say, which is a year where there's the least amount of property sales since 1995. There's actually less property sales this in 2024 than there was in 2008, which is pretty crazy. But if you're in the business, you probably feel the lack of inventory, the lack of sales going around, and most people did a lot less business last year, and we ended up increasing our business by 27% with literally less people on our team. And I really think that's just because we stuck our noses down and really worked through the year. It's important to note as well, right off the bat, that less than 2% of all of our closings were paid online advertising. We do a very, very small amount of paid online advertising. So the question is, if we're not doing online advertising, how are we scaling, and how are we doing, 100+ transactions a year? And it really comes down to, for us, is just simply building relationships with people. And 50% of all of our closings last year came from outbound relationship building. So what does that mean? That means that we have a system for actually keeping in touch with people and building relationships and maintaining those relationships, so that we are the realtor or real estate person of choice when somebody thinks about real estate. And you can see here, this is a picture of us at our summer cookout this year. This is one of the biggest things that we do on an annual basis, is events. And those events are specifically there for us to build relationships with our friends from high school, or our title companies, or all of our past clients. It's a big, huge past client event where we literally serve like hot dogs and brats and potatoes and stuff, and just literally get to say hi to every single person. Now, the biggest thing at these events is not necessarily that we're getting people to show up to the events, but more so that we're showing people that we're thinking about them and that we're making an invite. Would you add anything to that, Devin?
Yeah, I think you hit most of it. It just makes it so easy, kind of like you were saying, to keep in touch with everybody in the database. It's always like value first. How can we provide value? How can we make your day better? And then hopefully in the back end, we build a relationship, and someday you transact, or maybe you refer somebody to me, outside of like the summer and Christmas party. One of my favorite ones, one we got coming up here, is in the springtime. We give away free ice cream to Ramon's downtown Eau Claire, to literally every single person in our database. Like, who wouldn't love picking up the phone and just getting free ice cream mailed to you? So makes our lives a lot easier.
Yeah, how many ice cream coupons did we send out last year, Dan? Just to estimate.
2,000.
Yeah, so we sent out 2,000 ice cream coupons last year. Not sure if they were all redeemed, but it's a pretty cool thing to be able to pick up the phone. And has anybody? I think this is one of the most unique things that we do specifically. That this is so duplicatable in anybody's business, by the way. Anybody could do this. But when's the last time that you have received a phone call from your tax accountant, or your barber, or your car detailing company, and just said, hey, we're actually going to be serving brats this weekend, or hey, you ever been to Ramon's downtown? Here's some ice cream coupons. I think it's such a powerful thing. And if you ever did receive a phone call like that directly from your dentist or whoever, you'd probably never go to another dentist until the day you died, right? And this is just building complete raving fans around your business, and people. You're literally building a moat around your entire business, so that when you have years like 2024, when business is down a ton, that you have enough raving fans that are screaming your name from the top of the mountains and keeping you in business in those kind of years. And it's pretty much free. You don't have to give out ice cream coupons. We just do that. This happens to be one of our events that we do. But most everything we do is pretty dang cheap for the amount of people that we have coming to those events. It's not like we're spending $10,000 to do these events. And then it's nice because we can also have some sponsorships as well that help us cover the cost of the events. I'm going to jump into our team's lead gen model. So let's just think about lead generation from a standpoint of a stool, right? If you were sitting on a chair or a stool with one leg, it wouldn't sit up right. You wouldn't be in a safe position. Now, if you're sitting on a chair with two legs, okay, it's a little bit more sturdy, but still not sturdy. Now, I think the more legs on that stool that we can have, the better, which is why we have this wheel of 6 different lead generation models that we hold a team accountable to doing. So like I already said, we don't do much internet lead generation, but we do some. We have plenty of listings, so we get a lot of leads off of our signs. We're huge into prospecting and outbound dials, open houses, and also Sphere. This is 57% of all of our business right here. And then the rest of them make up the remainder of all of our closings. Devin, do you want to add anything to this one?
Yeah, I'd say like in general, a lot of real estate agents are going to do somewhat similar types of lead generation, but like what's really important is there isn't necessarily a wrong answer. Whatever you do works with consistency. So, back to shiny object syndrome, Dan, you were talking about earlier. It's so easy to get bogged down with like, oh my gosh, I should do FSBOs today and expireds tomorrow and circle prospect the next day and maybe call some of my friends the next day and blah, blah, blah. Just focusing on what you like to do, what you're good at, and doing a lot of it. The quality's in the quantity. So, moral of the story, there's not necessarily a wrong way to lead generate. There's just a wrong amount of action you can take.
No, actually, absolutely. I think that that actually segues into our next slide really well. Does anybody have any questions so far about our lead gen models or anything we talked about? Dan.
I was just going to make one quick point for anyone who's wondering what is lead generation. Basically getting business, right? How do you find business? How do you find people to work with? Simply put.
That's a good point. Not everybody, we use lead generation so often that I assume everybody knows what that is. But yes, lead generation is any sort of outbound finding business. It's like playing offense. It's offensively going out and scoring, finding business for yourself. So like what Devin said, it's the quality isn't the quantity. If you're not making outbound type offensive moves in your life, you're never going to have those lucky moments, right? Action creates luck. And this is how we track it on our team. So what we have this system called the leaderboard. I pretty much have this pulled up the entire day. So anybody who's on our team has access to this, but I mean, you can create your own leaderboard by just like setting a goal for yourself for that week and then keeping track of your dials or your number of open houses. You can see here, Emily and Josh are actually two newer agents on our team. Actually, Emily's our newest agent on our team, and she is this is last week's activities. And you can see we're trying to track every single thing we can possibly track within the business systematically. And the Brevity system that we use pretty much helps us track everything that does need to be tracked in a pretty simple way. Then the biggest thing for us is dials. If you're not making dials, we can have a direct ratio to how many dials you make to how many closings that you have throughout the year. So you can see that her goal for the week was 99 dials, and she actually made 311. So she's going way above and beyond what her actual goal was. And she made 83 contacts out of those 311 dials. So what is that? That's 1 out of every 3-ish dials that she makes. She actually gets in contact with somebody, and she set 2 appointments, and her goal was 2 appointments each week. So You can see here 300 dials for about 100 contacts for about 2 appointments. Okay, and you can kind of see how we're setting up that ratio for scaling. So if you wanted 3 appointments, you probably need to make another 150 dials here. And then also open houses as well is another big thing that we track as well, which I'll get into a little bit here. Does anybody have any questions on this? How you can set this up for yourself? Where you can just track it on a notebook, track on your notes app or whatever, how many dials you're making that week and how many contacts and appointments. Or even better for yourself is getting a CRM system. Dev, you want to add?
I'll just add something quick. Yeah. More than anything, like if you take nothing else away today, track your activities. Whether, again, you're doing it on pen and paper, you have a fancy CRM or Google Sheets, however you want to do it. It's really hard to evaluate yourself and make decisions, make goals for the next year if you don't really know what you did last year. Whether you did 0 deals or you did 50 deals, we need to know why, no matter what. So yeah, track everything: contacts, phone calls, appointments, open houses. Going to help yourself greatly moving forward.
Absolutely. Does anybody track their numbers? Does anybody have a tracker? Reed?
Yep. So I've been in the business for 25 years. We just track it through your CRMs and stuff like that. We actually just came into a place, then using Brivity, so I'm switching on for the other one. But it's really, like Devin said, and you said, Dan, the biggest thing is just really track your numbers. And then the other thing, because like Devin says, you don't know if you didn't know what you did, for last year. A lot of times you don't even know what you did last week or even the day before if you're not tracking. So if you see that, it's just easier, and then it's also easier to get back on track. So there's things that happen in life all the time. You get busy, or some emergency comes up, and all of a sudden 1 or 2 days you only got 1/10 of the number of calls that you wanted, and so it's so much easier to get back on track, to get back to your goals and numbers, which over time really makes it easier to hit your goals.
For sure.
100% Reed.
Yep.
One thing I really like about tracking your numbers is going over the last 12 months and seeing how many dials you made, because I think when you're talking about making thousands of dials, it seems really overwhelming. But then if you break that down per month, per week, and per day, it actually is not that bad. When you're building, when you're just doing it systematically on a consistent basis.
For sure.
So this is, I actually went into Ethan's on our team. Ethan is one of our top agents, and I went into his goals for the year. So he has a goals sales funnel, and we kind of talked about tracking numbers. And so each week we have a number that is our goal for amount of dials made. So Ethan's goal in the last 7 days here, this is my filters, last 7 days was 153 dials. And then on the top number, this is actually how many were made. So we could say his goal is 153. He made 148. However, his goal for contacts was 38 and he hit 44. So he's a little bit behind on the dials, but he's actually ahead on the contacts made. And he set 5 appointments out of those 44 contacts, where his goal is 3. And then he set 1 appointment. His goal is 2. He didn't sign any contracts the last 7 days, but his goal is to have 1. But he did pend 1. He did get 1 pending, and he had 3 closed. So you can see how you can track your entire business in a systematic way, so that when you're in the business for 3, 4, 5 years, your numbers become pretty predictable. If you want to hit 40 closings, well, we have data from your last 4 years of business, and we know pretty dang well what your conversion rates are and how many dials that you need to make in order to hit those 40 closings. If you want to make $100,000 a year, okay, let's reverse engineer that. What was your average commissions last year? Let's see what your average amount of pendings had closed, amount of appointments to pendings, the amount of appointments to sign and calls to appointments made. So you can literally track the entire reverse engineer from what your goal is all the way to what your total number of dials you need to make, and then we can actually build your entire calendar out in a way that you're going to be able to hit your goal in a systematic way, rather than just hoping that you hit this result. Okay, let's actually put a blueprint together for you to hit that goal.
I think my favorite part about this is efficiency. Really not a fan of wasting time. If I'm gonna dedicate my time, energy, effort to making 500, 1,000, 1,500, $1 million dials, whatever it is, I want to see results. And like Reed said, it's like, if you're not tracking, you'll forget what you did yesterday, let alone last year. And literally on a week-to-week basis, we can look and for every single one of us, it's like, okay, maybe Ethan clearly does not have an efficiency issue here, right? 44 contacts to 5 appointments. You can see his pending, his closed transactions. However, if we were to consistently see that Ethan's got 45 contacts, he's got 5 appointments set, but no pending transactions or very few, like we know there's a conversion issue there. We can pinpoint exactly what we need. The issue for him isn't making phone calls and getting a hold of people and setting the appointment, but what's actually happening in that appointment that's leading to not having pending transactions. So just helps us be extremely efficient with the lead generation that we're doing.
Absolutely. It's simple, but it's not easy. One of my favorite quotes. I think by following a system like this and following just a kind of true and tested format, you save yourself a ton of time, and you know what your focus is for the week. You know what you're doing when you come to work. I used to come to work on Monday morning and say, oh, God, what am I going to do this week? And I would spend my first 2 days planning what I was doing the last 3 days. And I just never had a consistent way of doing my business. And I think having a game plan, sticking to it is it really doesn't matter. It doesn't really necessarily matter what you do, whether it's, hey, if you want to make YouTube videos to get business, cool. What's your game plan around making YouTube videos, and what's your conversion rate? If you make 1 video for every closing, okay, you need to have a game plan for making YouTube videos. If it's making Facebook posts to get business, or maybe a combination of Facebook posts and dialing into your database, or geocalling, or open houses, cool. Let's put a game plan together for you and stick to that. Open houses, this is one of my favorite ones recently. I did 50 open houses between October 15th to December 15th. And so I got to really understand how well open houses can help you out if you're doing them on a high level. So for me, my conversion rate is for every 12 open houses that I host, I have 1 closed transaction. And I'm just writing this out for you guys for simple terms. If my 2025 goal is around open houses to have 10 closings from specifically the open house source, then I'm going to have to do 10 times 12, which is my conversion rate, which is going to equate to 120 open houses throughout the year, which sounds like a lot of open houses. But when I divide that by about 50 work weeks in a year, I get that to be 2.5 open houses per week, which is a very, very manageable amount of open houses to host.
I think my favorite part about like that number right there. So you look at that and you say, okay, 120 open houses for 10 closings. Seems doable, but like, okay, maybe I'd like to do some more business off of that. Well, that number doesn't show you like all of the things that get done at open houses and all of the leads that don't just instantly convert, maybe long-term follow-ups, things like that. Like I can guarantee you when Dan's sitting at an open house and there's nobody coming through the door, he's not just like sitting there playing a game on his phone. He's probably calling more people, following up with more people, finding other business. You're going to have all sorts of different people come through open houses, but with this much consistency, you're going to have a ton of people that you're adding to your database that very likely might transact in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Even if 5 years down the road, they refer you a client, I promise you, you're going to be super happy 5 years from now when that happens. So that 10 deals right there, I mean, the compound effect of all of the work that goes into that and all of the people you meet that goes into that, I'd be willing to put a lot of money that says that's actually worth 30 closings.
Probably, if you have a really good system for
Yep.
it. Absolutely. And yeah, I agree. I'm not playing on my phone. I might be Snapchatting Andrew once in a while, but for the most part, I'm working while I'm there. So
You're Snapchatting
let's
me all
go
the time.
in.
What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. I might be Snapchatting you. How can we apply this exact same concept with the open houses to the rest of our lead gen activities? Well, everything's the same. Everything has a conversion rate. That's something you have to almost figure out yourself what your conversion rate is, but there's a pretty good standard of conversion rates, whether you're a newer agent or you're more seasoned agent. It depends how much you practice as well. Just because an agent is seasoned doesn't necessarily mean that they're convert on a high level. But I think it comes down to more tracking your conversion numbers was going to definitely help your conversion rate, because then you're actually thinking about, hey, I need to actually convert this person. You think if you're talking to 100 people and you don't want to do more work over the next year, one easy way to do more closings the next year without doing more work would just be better converting at those current 100 people that you're talking to. So it doesn't always come down to doing more. It comes down to doing it better sometimes as well. We have something called the launch program, and it's basically it's a 90-day boot camp for agents who join the team. And but I think anybody can get value out of this, because you could probably follow it in your own business if you're like, hey, I need to do a lot more business this next year. This will get you out of your comfort zone. And our whole goal of the launch program is to get agents uncomfortable and into a state of doing a very high level of activities and getting really good at their job very quickly. So I'm going to have Devin, I'll actually have you kind of talk about the launch program, because if you guys didn't hear before, Devin is the productivity coach on our team. So he coaches and trains every single agent who joins our team, and does a very good job of it, and actually created this launch program that we're about to show you. So
cool. Yeah. So ultimate goal of new agent launch is, when you get into real estate, you have your time to take your pre-licensing course, getting licensed, getting through the DSPS, having the state approve your license, getting onboarded with your broker, and then actually starting to be a real estate agent and learning how to be a real estate agent. It's not uncommon. I'm sure there's an average, Dan probably knows it off the top of his head, a statistic where on average it probably takes a new agent somewhere between 6 and 8 months, somewhere in there, to get their first deal. If I remember right, it's somewhere right about in there. And that's too long. It's not super realistic for most people to go 6 to 8 months with not only a paycheck, but also your cost for entry, right? Between licensing and MLS dues and the whole thing. So we've kind of built this program around the goal of getting agents their first pending transaction within 30 days. Now that is easier said than done sometimes, right? We need a system built around it, and really it's just built around massive action. So like day one, you see right here, there's a little bit of a slow ramp up period. You got to learn our systems and learn your scripts and become efficient with using our systems to be able to do a lot of lead generation. But yeah, 50 dials within our database. You're gonna have a one-on-one meeting with me. You're gonna do some things within our CRM program to get familiar with how it operates, creating listing alerts, market reports, applying auto plans, everything that we need to do with leads and people in our database. Day one, you're going to schedule your first open house. You're also throughout the week going to be finding team members or myself to shadow appointments. And then you're also going to set some appointments of your own. So day one, yes, we're starting out a little slower than the rest of the days, but we're not wasting any time. We're jumping right into action.
Can we have Emily or Josh, are you guys on here and able to talk a little bit about that? Because I know you guys are actually right in the thick of doing this right now.
Yeah, I'm actually on my last week of launch, and exactly what they say, it definitely gets you out of your comfort zone. But these last 12 weeks have really helped propel my business, get me out of said comfort zone. Like now I have no problem picking up the phone, calling people, and yeah, I ended up getting my first listing and stuff like that. So I mean, it works. It definitely works.
Yeah.
Just gotta put the work in for it to work.
And Josh, I mean, one of my favorite things about you is the fact that you don't need to mention the brokerage you were at, but you were at another brokerage before you switched over. And I think you said you've done like 10 times more in the first 3 months than you did at the entire time.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Yeah, I was real free over there, and like Devin was saying, like your dudes just got licensed. You learn how to be an agent, but you don't really know what to do. And then you reached out, and I came to one of these, and I just like the structure you guys put in place, and proven track record speaks for itself.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Heck yeah. All right, on to day 2.
We're just going to show you guys 5 days. We're not going to go through
Yeah.
3 months worth.
Yeah, we're not gonna, we won't go through all 90, but day 2, we ramp it up a little bit. You're up to 75 dials within the database. And then we're going to start to do some other forms of lead generation as well. You know, cold snap recently, you probably don't want to go knock on 25 doors. So geo calling, circle prospecting, we're going to start getting you dialing there. We're going to do a couple practice CMAs, comparative market analysis, get you familiar with the market. And yeah, just different neighborhoods. How do we evaluate properties? How do we advise sellers on where they should price? Then you're also going to start writing the offers right away, which is kind of scary, right? Like you're not necessarily having like a ton of experience guidance. What you learn in the licensing course, yes, you run through the contracts as anybody in here who is licensed knows. It's a very insufficient amount of training to actually transact real estate. So it's important that we're focusing on the things that matter the most right out of the gate. That's making phone calls, setting appointments, and then what the heck do we do when we get into an appointment? These are the types of things we're practicing right out of the gate. Day 3, we're into a lot more normal of a flow. So 75 dials within the database, 150 geo or pond calls, circle prospecting calls. Again, the option to do some door knocks or to do some more extra dials, whatever you prefer. We're going to start previewing some homes in the market. Again, get familiar with what a thing sell, what sells quick, what doesn't, how are things priced, blah, blah, blah. You're going to submit another offer to me, and then just kind of a midweek check-in. Hey, where are we at in terms of scheduling open houses, getting our practice consults in, and shadowing appointments. And then day 4, again, at this point, we're starting to get into a consistent flow, same amount of dials, same expectation with door knocks or making more dials. You're going to write another offer to me, and you're going to do another practice comparative market analysis, which brings us to day 5. We're going to recap. Yeah, end of week 1. Do we have our 3 open houses scheduled? Do we have our practice consults? Are we controlling things we can control, right? We can't always, again, there's a skill aspect, but we can't always control how many appointments we're gonna set, who we're gonna talk to that week. We can for sure, especially in the beginning, control our actions. How many open houses are we doing? How many dials are we making? How many practice reps are we getting? How much time are we dedicating? So, you know, something we found, and another thing this is geared around is trying to get agents really strong habits out of the gate. It's easy to jump in from another career where you were 9 to 5, you're jumping into real estate, you're so excited to be your own boss, have flexibility in your calendar. But in the beginning, we do need to treat it like a 9 to 5, right? Like we're literally building a business from the ground up. But it's really easy to kind of get lost and get distracted, take an afternoon nap, go golfing, do whatever that isn't building your business. So a lot of this is also structured so like you're busy throughout the day, because yeah, week 1 being a real estate agent, no, you don't have 30 showings to go do and 5 listing consults and all of the normal day-to-day activities that you grow into. So it helps give you some structure to build out what the heck is it like to build and run my own real estate business. Anything you guys want to add there?
Yeah, I'll add one thing is the appointments one. I think it's good to just have face-to-face real estate conversations with people. So I'm a big proponent of, hey, hey, maybe you didn't find somebody that raised their hand and said, hey, I want to buy or sell real estate this year, but set an appointment with your friend and just talk to them about your real estate business. Just talk to them. Just buy them lunch. Say, hey, I'm actually in real estate. I just got my license. I'm just wondering if I can like practice talking about real estate with you, and just start building those reps up with people. I've done that a ton of times in my life, because I think when you have that face-to-face interaction, you spend the time with people, and you do that one time a week for 3 years straight. That's 150 coffee dates or lunches you've had with people that you would not have had unless you set those appointments with them. And they don't even have to be about selling them real estate or whatever. It's just having that conversation, building that relationship, which kind of brings us full circle of like, hey, everything we're doing is building relationships literally constantly. And I see people who are doing a lot of business, and I see people who are not doing so much business. And I can guarantee you the agents who are doing a lot of business, that's one of their core focuses, is just building meaningful relationships with people.
Absolutely.
Because you can't really control how many people that necessarily are going to raise their hand that week to buy or sell.
Yep. Exactly.
So yeah, why follow a structured blueprint? I think for me, it's just about the consistency. I'm a very much scatterbrained ADD person, so I like having this more structure, because I'm not a structure person. I need to build the structure around me, and I need to build the exoskeleton or building structure around me so that it keeps me in the rails, rather than me just hoping that my own, like myself, like I can't keep myself in the rails, so I have to build the rails around me, is what I'm basically trying to say. And I think that's for anybody, can definitely benefit from having some sort of structured blueprint or like numbers that you want to hit that week.
Yeah, I think for me, it leaves a little margin for error. As long as I'm doing what's in that blueprint, there's only so much that really could go wrong, right? Like, you're always going to have good weeks and bad weeks. I might make the same amount of dials 2 weeks in a row, and 1 week set 6 appointments and the next set 0. But I know if I'm following a proven process consistently, that I will find success. So that's my favorite part about it. And, more than anything, I love real estate. I love that the autonomy I have over my business and the flexibility I have in my business. You can all that without recreating the wheel, right? Like, real estate's been done for a long time. There's been a lot of extremely successful people, not only just, big people you see on YouTube or running massive brokerages or anything like that, but in your local market. Most of the time, they did not reinvent a wheel. They ripped off and duplicated or joined a process, a system that allowed them to be successful. So,
100%. 100%. Yeah. I mean, pretty much everything we do is just ripped off and duplicated of really high performing teams that we've found. I will say we have our own flavor and everything. I think our fingerprint's a little bit different than any other real estate company I've ever seen, because we have created a lot of things, but everything we've created has been on a foundation of, we just found what was working for other people and just put our little flavor into it. So I like that, Devin. And then we also have, but yeah, that pretty much concludes it. The other thing I would add in there, I thought we had a slide in there that broke down a calendar, but one of the biggest things for you guys that you can do right off the bat is just creating a Google Calendar for yourself. Actually, I'm going to pull one up here to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys. Let's see here. Devin, you okay if I pull yours up?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll pull yours up a couple weeks down the road, so there's not a bunch of appointments showing up here. Everybody in the team, at least for us, we have a pretty good, well, we're in the middle of this honeymoon week here, but so you can see 9 and noon, we actually have it's scheduled out to be dedicated lead gen time. So even though he's on his honeymoon, he's still going to be lead genning. No, I'm just kidding. So he's going to have to change this a little bit, but you can see in here, every single one of us on our team, actually, we have a time blocked time for up until noon every single day to be specifically doing lead gen activities. And why do we do it before noon? It's because it's the easiest time of day for real estate agents to actually not be bothered by a million things. Afternoon, we're on appointments, we're on showings, we're getting calls from our great aunt that they want to sell their house, whoever, whatever. So morning time is the easiest time for us to do the lead generation activities. And then, you know, oftentimes they'll do open houses on the weekends or in the evenings. But this is pretty simple, not very complex. And I definitely recommend trying it. Devin, you got anything you want to add to your calendar?
Every Friday, Place, the company we're partnered with, has this like big nationwide call, and one of the head guys on there speaking, and one day he said something that like really resonated with me. He was like, we're real estate agents, right? We're running our own business. We don't necessarily have a boss. Your boss isn't necessarily, it's not your team leader. It's not your broker. But at the end of the day, who is it? It's your calendar. And I live by my calendar. I couldn't agree with that statement more. My calendar tells me exactly what I need to be doing every single day. I literally don't know what I would do without it. Every single thing that's important is going on my calendar. The lead generation blocks in the morning are by far the most important, but yeah, in the afternoon, it keeps me moving. It gives me a sense of direction and kind of guardrails, and just gives me organization so I can see so easily in my day. It's like, okay, cool. I got an appointment at 1 and I got an appointment at 4. That doesn't mean from 2 to 3, 1:30 to 3 that I should be doing nothing. It just kind of gives me a really easy way to visualize what my day looks like and how I can make it more productive.
Reed, do you do something similar with your calendar?
Yeah, it's really pretty similar to that. You know, you also keep some white space open where things, if they pop up. But I also like to do more of my lead generating in the morning, just like you say, because other things pop up. But what I really like about the calendar is I've always been a fan of consistency. So if you play sports or I've done Ironman, some of that, but you have to really be consistent. So that calendar that you see there keeps you consistent. So each and every day, you know what you have to do each hour, each half hour in there, and that consistency wins way more. Even if you only put a half hour lead gen every day on your calendar, it's way better than spending like 3 or 4 hours one day, then all of a sudden you don't do it for 3 or 4 days. That consistency is key, and that's where that calendar helps that consistency.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and Dan does other things. He's not necessarily in sales, but even for himself, if we look at his calendar, we have like some things that are needle moving things, like things that are going to move the business forward. Yeah, you guys have any questions on the calendar, lead gen, anything? Angela, you look like you got a question. Oh, never mind. It looks like you're making a lane change. Never mind. Don't be looking down too long.
I'm just picking up some Blazers donuts for an event tomorrow morning.
Well, there you go. You're doing an event. What kind of event is it? For clients?
Yeah. It's actually donuts with dudes at the elementary school where my daughter goes, and I am on the PTO board. So if you want to get a lot of connections, get involved in the local schools.
It's awesome.
So I'm gonna see over 600 people tomorrow.
Holy
Yeah.
smoke. Oh, honestly, that's.
And I'm the top sponsor, and I'll wear my Realtor pin, and I'll probably wear my leggings that say Realtor down the leg. And I don't even have to talk to people about real estate. They know what I do.
You're a walking bill
Exactly.
donuts.
Well, I gotta go, but thank you so much, and I can't wait to see the rest of the recording.
Sounds good. See ya.
Bye.
Cool. But yeah, does anybody else have any questions? Brady, anybody that are on here? We kind of open up for 5-10 minutes of questions.
Not everybody at once.
Throw some curveballs at us, guys. We want to hear something interesting. Even if you have to ask Devin where he's going on his honeymoon, we want some kind of questions. Chandler?
Not so much a question, but I remember picking Dan's brain about when he first got into real estate. Like,
what the heck did you do when you didn't have all this stuff mapped out? I feel like you should share the story. You used to call through literally just the yellow pages, like the phone book, and ask people line by line if they wanted to buy or sell real estate, didn't you?
I got a listing from it. Yep.
Yep. Yeah.
I did. That sucked. That was like the worst. Actually, it wasn't that bad. It's no worse than just cold calling the neighborhood anywhere, or door knocking. But yeah, I did call out of the phone book because I always heard, sorry, Reed, but back in your day, I think phone books were the thing, right? It's like you get the phone book for a town and you start calling the phone book. So I was like, I look up to people who do it the old fashioned way. So, and I don't know where I even found a phone book. I don't know where you go to find those, but I happened to find one and I was like, I need to start calling through that. Well, sure. I start calling through it. I call a couple pages. I set a listing appointment on day 2. And now I can be one of the people who said back in my day, I called through the phone book.
Proves anything works with consistency.
Yeah, the other thing that's really helped me over the years, and I like to have always played sports and been on teams and stuff like that, is the accountability. So if you're even an agent by yourself and stuff like that, find an accountability partner, whether it's your spouse or somebody else that can hold you accountable for doing the things that you're going to say. So that, and that just, when you have that accountability, you just naturally tend to, whoever you make the accountability partner, you want to make sure that they realize that you are doing what you say you're doing, so that and it just goes so much farther in getting more things done. And it's really been helpful for me over the years.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good point, Reed. Yeah, I wish I'd have brought that point up a little bit more on the page where we showed our team's calls, because that's exactly what our leaderboard is. It's an accountability tool. You can't hide behind the curtain when everybody can see that you're not making your dials for the day, right? Group accountability is the best because you don't want to be embarrassed and be in last place. Like, at least I don't like to be. I want to be in the top 3. It's kind of hard when you're competing against Josh and Emily that are making million dials a day. But if I'm in the top 3, I'm happy. But if I'm in the bottom 3, maybe I should pick it up a little bit more. And it's you kind of have this top lining effect of, hey, nobody really wants to be at the bottom, so everybody's working harder and pushing each other, and that's the kind of a fun, and nobody's like so competitive where we're getting pissed off at each other, but it makes it a fun environment where we're just competitive and more of a fun competitive environment than anything.
Oh, for sure. Because if you have 2 more calls than me, I'll call 5 more people just so I could be, just so we can get in front of them. That's the little stuff
I'm aware.
It just keeps the camaraderie going and just makes you want to drive that much more, because a little fun in it never hurt nobody.
Yeah, one thing that I think about when it comes to accountability is going to the gym. When I don't have an accountability partner for going to the gym, I'm the laziest damn person. Like, you guys know me, I'm a pretty active person, but when it comes to going to the gym, I'm lazy. But I have built-in accountability partners for years, so I'm never not going to the gym. It looks like I'm just an absolute disciplined beast, but it's because I have accountability partners that sometimes I pay for in order to help me get there, right? Like, it's like having a gym coach versus going to the gym by yourself. Awesome. Let's have one more question. We got to pull a little bit more out here.
Brady. What do we got, Brady?
What's up, boys and gals?
How's it
Good
going?
question for you. We're going back to the open house thing. What do you do during the open house when you don't have anyone coming in? I'm a mad Snapchatter, so any other input for how to do or what to do during them would be great, because I get nervous. Say I get a phone call or do a phone call, all of a sudden someone walks in, I'm like, shit, no, what? Sorry, under the weather.
That's actually a good point, Brady.
Yeah.
Because that does happen to me. And what I'll do is I will call my database. Let's say I have a couple of leads that had reached out to me a few years back. I'm just calling through an old lead list, right? And let's say I'm on the phone with you, Brady, and I say, hey, Brady, I'm actually just calling you. I'm literally sitting at an open house right now. And I wanted to follow up with you just to see if anything has changed over the last year. I know last time we chatted that you were still working on getting pre-approved, and just seeing if since it's January of 2025, seeing if you had any goals for 2025. So I'll set expectations up right away that I'm at an open house, and if somebody walks in the door, I'll just be like, hey man, can I call you right back? Somebody just walked into my open house, and I'll call you back in like 2 minutes here. Or I'll call you back when they walk out.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm definitely leaning towards dials that like are more likely to be not super time consuming. But on top of that too, like there's always a million tasks we can do as real estate agents, right? Like follow up texts and emails and going through emails and voicemails and making sure you haven't missed any new leads that have come in. And so there's I think a variety of things that like can be done. I mean, we'll geo call circle prospect before open houses, inviting all the neighbors down. You didn't get time to do that. You could do that while you're sitting right there at the open house. Hey, I'm just sitting a block down the road from you, So I think it's pretty open-ended based on what you need at that point in time in your business.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds better than Snapchat and ESPN.
Yeah, some other things I do if I didn't do my homework before is really, once I'm there and if I'm sitting by myself, really make sure I know what the market's doing right there. Is there any new listings came out, any new that went pending or something like that? So somebody comes in, you can give them that up-to-date information. As typically you should try to do that before you get there, but a lot of times you get busy, you don't have time to do it. So it's also a good time to look up exactly the neighborhood that you're in and see what the market conditions are, what the any sales or pendings or what's going on in that area.
For sure.
Good point. Good point. Since somebody else is going to ask, Devin, where are you going on your honeymoon?
Yeah, we're just going on to Black River Falls. I'm just kidding. We're going to Jamaica, Montego Bay.
That would be awesome. Black River Falls is a good area.
Gonna hit the casino for 7 nights and see what happens. Yeah.
Hey, Saddle Mountain, dude. It's about 2 miles from the casino. Good hiking trail.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks to guys for having us here. And like I said, okay. I said, we're going to be having about 5 more events throughout the year, and we're going to try to always do like at least 6 events like this per year, and the rest of them are going to be in person. And we might have a couple drinks, a couple snacks on the next one. So we'll keep you guys updated and I'll let you know when it is. Sound good?
Sweet.
Thanks for hopping on, guys.
Everybody for hopping on.
Yeah. Have a good night. See you later. Bye, Reed. Bye, Andrew.
Thank you, guys.
Bye, Dan.
See you, Crankers.